I wake up Tuesday morning, I'm on the front page of the Detroit News. And a whole bunch of other papers in the state. On the radio, the word was Fred Trost was arrested on Sunday for a game law violation. I said I'd tell the whole truth, spill it all out tonight, and I'm going to. But first, I want you to take a look at a story about a buck, a 12-point buck, the most incredible thing I've ever seen on Michigan Outdoors. That coming your way, plus the true story on the scandal. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night. Time for Michigan Outdoors. We have one of the most incredible coincidences and stories right now that I think I've ever heard in the outdoors. Dr. Asa Kelly from Addison. 27 years ago, you did something with a couple of bucks whose antlers were locked. What'd you do?
Released them and let them run again.
Sawed their antlers off. Very few vets, I'd say, have ever had the experience of doing anything like that. Wouldn't you think?
You know, I have no way of judging it.
Do you have any pictures of that?
No, I do not.
Now, the other night, Marlene Kelly, what happened?
We got a phone call from the sheriff's department. 2 bucks had their horns caught together, and Bruce wanted us to come help.
Okay, Marlene grabbed the video camera, the home video, and this is what she took as her husband, Doc Kelly, had the rope in his hand, and the first thing he did is fling it over their antlers. Oh!
And as you see, we had kind of a lucky grab there. We got what we wanted right off. I wanted just the one deer, so if we did get them apart, we didn't have 2 of them still fastened together and fighting both of them.
You mean that rope is just over one of the antlers of
Yes.
one of the deer?
Mm-hmm. It's on the one towards you. And as we got the rope settled on their horns, we put some pressure on it to turn their necks at an angle so that they would not have the ability to charge straight forward as we were working with them.
Looks like a pretty cautious group of people there.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm scared to death of them because they'll kill you.
Well, the tines on that one buck look to be 8 or 10 inches long.
I think they're fully that long and perhaps longer.
Are you going with the bolt cutters?
Yeah. Now what I did was take the tip of that one tine off, hoping that as I took that tip off, I could use that as a lever and pry those 2 racks apart. So you'll see that tip go, and I think you'll see here in a moment where I tried to use it as a pry bar, and it just wasn't going to work. And you'll see I tried it a little bit there and just gave up and started with the vice grips that you will see here in a moment that I used to make a groove in that horn.
Now you mean the bolt cutters were too...
The bolt cutters were too small to cut back at the base, or towards the base where we had to release it.
Now how big are those bucks? I mean, points they're about, what?
I think they're 10 and 12 points. I think you'll count those later. And they were rather large bucks. I'm going to judge them at roughly 220 and 280 live weight.
280 pounds for that biggest one?
I believe so.
Well, Marlene, you're a hunter.
I'm a
So is
hunter.
Doc. This must have been exciting to you to see
It
this.
was exciting, very much so.
You're holding the camera real steady there. You were a distance away.
Mm-hmm. I was in the car to start with, and then I just decided I had to get closer, and I got out. And I've got the old-fashioned camera where I have to carry the recorder. This is not a camcorder.
Carrying the recorder with you.
Right.
Boy, look at that bundle of tines. And what are you looking for? What are you doing right there?
That's where I'm notching the tine. As I told you, I was notching it so I could get the bolt cutter over it.
And you say there's one of them there that... if you release
There's
that
one in both situations that I have been into with this, that the one tine will release it if you find the right one.
Now that's the landowner there who has the farm?
That is the landowner that owns the farm.
Oh, and there's Bruce.
Then there's Bruce.
Bruce Van Weren, the conservation officer. Now he's running back up there.
He's playing quarter horse. He's the one that's sitting on the rope. And as he said, this is yours, go do it.
Now, how long were these bucks, how long have they been locked up?
The landowner saw them at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And what time was it now?
And this is roughly 5:30, 5:45 in the evening. And they called the conservation officer later on in the day seeking help, and this is the result of it.
Now, these deer would have died
Oh, yes.
if they...
Yes.
How long would it have taken them to die?
I don't think that's an answerable question exactly due to the weather and so many different factors. If they could get where there was water, I'm sure they would drink and eat and so on. However, they really do attempt to mutilate each other. There you'll see where
Yeah, you just got that tine, didn't you,
I
right
did
there?
take that tine on off.
Oh, now this is
Now,
got to be a tense moment.
this is a very tense moment. You see them release a little. You see them start to charge each other again. As they did this, I took the rope off. You see, I reached over and released the quick release on the Honda.
Oh, yeah,
and
right
there. It
there.
goes. All right, now I'm going to run around real quick on the other side to check to see if there's any further damage to them that needs attention, and where I didn't believe there was, and checked them there to be sure their eyes and everything was okay. And
But now, why are they standing so still?
they still think they're locked in combat.
And of course, after 10 or 12 hours, or who knows how many hours, they have given up.
And I just told the fellas there to just get back, and I think if just a little movement, I think they'll release themselves. Hear those horns clicking.
Man,
And
that is drama.
the one that is leading, in this case, is considered the loser, and I'll show you the winner. Right there he is. And there goes Twinkle Toes. And he really is quite belligerent at this moment. He thinks he has beat the other deer, and he's ready to beat anything else he comes to. And you'll see the tine that we cut off, so we didn't take very much of it off.
Boy, you can see that. A magnificent, maybe foot-long tines there. And that's down in Addison, Lenawee County. Look at that. And he's watching you folks.
Oh, yes. Yes, shame on anyone that goes near him.
But he wasn't going to charge from that distance. Any closer, though, he might?
Oh, I started up towards him at one time, and all he did was just drop his head and point those tines at you.
And that's all you need.
No, that's all I need.
Now, when he turned around, and I think he did turn over and glance at Marlene there with the camera.
Right, Bruce told me that if he charged, just to leave it on.
Yeah, leave the
and set it
camera
down,
going.
Right, right.
He didn't just bound off right then.
No, we to be sure that he was capable of moving out into life, we took the car and drove up to him slowly and blew the horn, and he turned and left as the other one did then.
So he wasn't hurt. He was
No.
just belligerent.
Yes.
It was fine.
I tell you, I don't know what it does for the folks at home, but that tape got my heart pounding.
It was exciting.
Marlene, you did a tremendous job on
Thank
that
you.
home video. Doc, you got more stories for Michigan Outdoors. There's more things that these people have done that we're going to have on. Oh, that's a thrill. Now we've got to get over and talk about the weekend forecast. And in our weekend forecast, the thing that makes it easiest for hunters is to get those leaves off the trees. Why, we have it according to Root Cellar up in the western end of the UP. The color is gone. Walleye, they're getting limits from the dock in Lake Gogebic. Dick's favorite sports up here in the Keweenaw Peninsula says woodcock are all over the place, but too many leaves. The lake effect doesn't hit them so much around Marquette and Munising here. Trophy Hunter Guide Service says the grouse and woodcock is improving because the leaves are dropping fast. Few pike fishermen out, but partridge hunters are finding a limit if they have dogs, according to Bayshore Resort. Bucks, bait, and tackle and alpina. Smallmouth bass, limits 20 inches. Good fishing. Perch, load a bucket in just a couple hours. Chamber of Commerce in Oscoda says they're getting a couple kings. 40% leaf change in that area. Ace Hardware at Charlevoix says that's a little slow because of all the windy weather. The pier fishermen are doing the best. Captain Emil Dean backs that up. As well as Coho, Bob, and Pentwater. The salmon fishing is slowed down, and steelhead are picking up. Mulhagen says they got 3 to 5 per boat down in the St. Joe River. Nobody's fishing down in the southeast, according to Real Hunting Outlet, but they're all looking for the hunting season. Here's some fishing for you. Walleye limits, Saginaw Bay. Perch, lots of them. Ducks, hey, Saginaw Bay is loaded with good hunting and fishing. As well as the Houghton Lake area, lots of grouse all over the place, and the color should probably peak this weekend. By the way, right near Houghton Lake, St. Helen, we got a buck, a big one in the trophy book. Isn't he cute? He weighs 11 pounds. That's 1.5-month-old John Holt Jr. holding his dad's 7-pound, 4-ounce smallmouth bass caught in the Osabo River. That's 2 keepers for Mr. and Mrs. John Holt from Melvindale. Now this little fellow is the youngest we've heard out fishing. It's little Courtney Sharp from Rockford. She was in her mom's lap off the Detour Lighthouse when her dad, Mark Courtney, was reeling in this king salmon. Little Courtney probably won't remember her first fishing trip. She was only 4.5 weeks old. Doug McLaughlin from Flint is proud of his 10-point buck he took with a bow in Shiawassee County. It's a tall rack, but narrow compared to this one. In the Morton F system of scoring, this would be the big buck in the rifle category, as it is in ours. That spread is how wide, Don?
About 26 and a quarter.
26-inch spread with 10 points gives it a score of 36, has a 9-inch tine, got it up in Roscommon.
We're just north of St. Helen, about 4 miles.
You know, those bucks don't very often grow that big up there. So many hunters.
There's another one just like this.
Is there?
My neighbor missed one about 3 days after I got this one.
Now, you realize you just said this was 4 miles north of St. Helens, and there's another one just like it.
Well, there's 2 roads going out of St. Helen north.
Take your choice. Okay, what a story. October 20th, congratulations. The widest rack, a 10-pointer with a score of 36. Congratulations, that is Don Bednarik from St. Helen.
Last week I told you about a new but yet unofficial state record black bear. Now it's a good thing I said it's unofficial, because it turns out that that bear weighed in at 650 pounds, but with its innards still inside it. Now there's a little doubt that field dress the bear would have weighed a little less than the previous record of 613 pounds. The Natural Resources Commission should okay plans this week for the 1988 spring turkey season that includes a new area mainly in southern Missaukee County and increases the number of permits available by about 1,500 statewide. A word to the wise to take care of your deer license back tag. The back tag and kill tag are the same tag this year, and to replace it will set you back the better part of a $20 bill. Anyone who still has the white-colored back tags and has not yet received replacement blue tags is asked to call the nearest DNR office. An unusual state record was caught in September, a 36-inch, 4-pound, 1.2-ounce American eel. It was caught by Richard Roth of Essexville in Saginaw Bay on a shiner right at the mouth of the Saginaw River.
So what do you suppose it feels like to wake up in the morning and see your name plastered across the headlines? There it is, the Detroit News, Tuesday morning. Wednesday morning, the Detroit Free Press. Also, front page of the State News in Lansing, East Lansing. Also, the Lansing State Journal, front page, all over the place. Man alive. Fred Trost arrested, ticketed for a game law violation. Phone calls pour in. Oh, what's a scoop? Kind of embarrassing, huh? Well, let me tell you the whole works. What happened is we were taping the opening weekend of goose season up in Shiawassee. Had the TV cameras, the whole works. We're checked at about 8:30 in the morning by a federal wildlife agent. Wanted to see everything, checked our licenses. Well, I pulled out my license. Hey, I've got my sportsman's license. I'm proud of it. Flipped it open, had my state duck stamp. Didn't have my federal duck stamp, a $10 stamp that you buy at the post office. You see, the thing was, I bought my license back in April 4th, right there, and didn't have my duck stamp on there. Was I ticketed? No. I was given a talking to, asked me some questions, sent me back in the field. He said, don't shoot, but you can go back in the field. Well, I didn't hear anything, and except through the newspapers and radio, until yesterday morning. Certified mail. I got a ticket in the mail, as I deserved. Here's my payment, $50 fine. I do it right through the mail, send it off. I also purchased, of course, Monday morning, my federal duck stamp. Paid the $10 on that. Glad to do it. Wished I hadn't missed it. I mean, like, you know, what happened? Forgot. Just plain forgot. Slipped my mind. That's all I can say. I don't know. I thought I was all set and I had everything, and it just plain slipped my mind. That's it. It's not an excuse. It's just an explanation, and I deserved a ticket, and I paid it, and that's all there is to it. Tell you one thing. As forgetful as I am at times, I'm not going to forget that one again.
Now, because licenses are getting somewhat complex, not so long ago, I asked State Representative Jerry Bartnick to look at putting in a bill to create one license, call it a super license if you will, for active sportsmen that hunt and fish most of Michigan's seasons. Now, the reason is simple. There are now at least 21 different licenses, permits, and applications that can now be bought by an adult. And over a third of them are new, created in the last 2 years. The bill would also require the Department of Natural Resources to send permit applications to all super license holders for all the special permits like elk permits, doe permits, turkey, and managed waterfowl. Now, I don't know what you'd pay to have all your licenses, permit applications, etc., all the stuff that you'd need in a season, and the peace of mind that you're legal, but I'd pay a bundle to have all that. Plus, I'd avoid all the extra trips to the post office and the sporting goods store. Bartnick says that the license bill will be introduced shortly, and there will be a provision that it can all be done through the mail, putting the DNR's licensing system where it should be in the 20th century, just like the Secretary of State's.
Got some great letters in here, Bob, some perplexing questions. Dan Suerta from Granville says, I have a disagreement with several friends. They say it's lawful to build permanent tree stands on private land. I say it's unlawful. Can you help me prove I'm right?
Well, it is lawful to build permanent tree stands on private ground. The trouble is the law does not allow you to use them for deer hunting with a bow and arrow. The law says you cannot have permanent tree stands, and that applies equally to public and to private ground. Now, an officer would have to be real chicken to write a ticket if you build a tree stand on your own property. But I've heard 2 officers say that they would.
I tell you, that's something that's kind of ridiculous that the DNR hasn't straightened this out. They've known about this for years.
They're making some progress now.
We've heard that for years. It's time they get that law straightened out for sure. Now, folks, let's see if you can answer this question about deer in our outdoor quiz.
Does the heredity of a buck more influence the size of its antlers or the number of points? Research indicates that a buck's genetics are most responsible for the shape and number of points on its rack. The overall size of its rack is determined more by its diet.
Last week, Don Basie showed us how he, as a quadriplegic, uses his hand controls to drive. And his van has a power lift, which gets him outdoors. A first step in reopening his world of hunting and fishing, which had been ended by an accident in 1976.
It's allowed me to get out in spots that I wouldn't be able to. It's made me more independent, where I can get out without any assistance. I'm able to get in a vehicle and take off, drive, and go basically wherever I want to go.
His modified vehicles and wheelchair give him freedom, and as a non-walking handicapper, he has a permit to allow him to hunt from a standing vehicle. But he can't hunt just anywhere.
First of all, it has to be accessible with a vehicle. I mean, that's the primary thing. If you're not able to get back there with a vehicle, you're not able to hunt. Places I used to go when people go on foot, I no longer can take a vehicle there, and no longer can get there by chair, so I am limited to hunting now out of the vehicle. In the past, I've taken up to Hillsdale, and there was a Lost Nations state game area, and they had some access spots where I could take and drive right up into little parking spots, turn my vehicle in a proper way, and scoot over to the rider's side. Being I'm left-handed, I shoot out of the left side or the rider's side window, and hunt from there. I have a little thing that I made. It just fits over the window, and just basically a 2x4 with a notch in it, and padded, and then put naugahyde over it, and I lay my gun over that out the window, and I am able to crank up the window for elevation. Being inside a vehicle, especially on cold days, it provides me with warmth where I would not be able to have out and sitting on a tree stump or something like that, which I no longer can do. I have circulation problems, and with a spinal cord injury, I'm no longer able to feel the hot and the cold, so it's very easy for me to become frostbitten and not even be aware of it until after the fact.
Like all of us, Don has his favorite hunting spots, but in the past 2 years, the Lost Nations State Game Area has closed the doors to Don.
I guess they've had some trouble with ORVs, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, tearing up some of the ground. And to prevent this, they put barriers up, which limits me to access. And recently, since the last hunting season, the couple of spots that I had found that I could get to, they now have a sign put up there that says private road.
These barriers aren't just the end of the road for Don, they're the end of his hunting on public land. We at Outdoors Forever think ways should be found to allow a few quiet vehicles with special handicap or hunting permits on these lands, and at the same time crack down on the joyriding violators. Write to us, let us know what you think. We need to find a fair solution. Stephanie Rose from Kalamazoo has come up with a recipe that, well, what this is, it's venison that is pounded with some flour in it, dipped in egg, and a whole bunch of other things.
Parmesan cheese that you
Parmesan
taste a little
cheese.
bit of.
I tell you, it tastes like veal Parmesan.
More than Swiss steak.
Dip it after it's been pounded with the flour and dipped in the egg and dipped in the
Parmesan cheese.
Parmesan.
You're gonna
Oh.
fry these just like this. Now there, now that would taste just perfect, just like that. Don't want it to cook real long, just a little bit here.
Well,
And
that wouldn't have the little Italian flavor that I think we get when
No.
she adds the other ingredients.
Gonna saute some onions and add a whole can of tomato sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And then your regular Italian spices, gonna add some oregano. Now you do want to add water to this because it's gonna cook down a lot, even with the sauce on it. And just a little bit of sugar.
Oh,
Aha.
okay.
Couple tablespoons of sugar.
Can taste this is really a
And your oregano.
sweet recipe that is
It's there,
pleasantly flavored.
but it's not overpowering. Some pepper, black
Mhm.
pepper. And then that's it. That's as far as your spices go. You're gonna pour this over that, and that's gonna bake. After you fry your steaks, then the whole thing is gonna bake. Add a little bit more Parmesan cheese, and then the rest of the sauce on top.
Bake at 350.
For about an hour. Yep.
Oh, you know, this is funny. This is one of these
The rest of the
times.
sauce.
Oh, the rest of the sauce from
Mhm.
the pan
Yep.
that goes in
Yep. After
Mm.
you add cheese to the top of it.
there? Oh,
Yep.
boy.
Freddie, I'll tell you what, this is Italian at its best, but we
Mm-hmm.
need some pasta to go with it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, the amazing thing is, I absolutely love this. And you said, Bob, a minute ago that
Oh, this stuff is totally edible. It's just, it tastes a lot like veal Parmesan, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. I mean, I do love this.
you are a fan of veal Parmesan. It's not one of your favorites.
It's just not one of my
Well, I
favorites.
tell you, this, let me take over then.
Oh.
This tastes like veal Parmesan. If you like veal Parmesan, you'd love this.
Oh, definitely.
Don't you agree?
Oh, it's very tender.
Get the pasta out, though.
Oh, boy. Stephanie Rose, you got a winner right there. Hope all you folks have a good weekend outdoors. It's a great place to be. See you next.
I think, fellas, I think if you just get out of the way, both of you.
Next week on Michigan Outdoors, I'll take you goose hunting to that famous Little Prairie Hunt Club near Shiawassee. I absolutely guarantee we'll have all the right licenses and stamps. Show you what it's like in a goose blind, and we'll cook up our geese with an award-winning marinade from our wild game cooking contest. In our Outdoors Forever feature, we'll take a look at tree stands for bow hunting, some surprising statistics on how many hunters end up in wheelchairs after falling from tree stands. You can't be too careful. And I promise to be more careful this week. I'll do my best not to lock horns with any more federal agents. Buy your duck stamps, keep smiling, and I hope you join us next week. We'll do our best to bring you a great show.
I'm not going to get his autograph, just let him go. You'll be all right.
I would not.
Damn it, you guys spoiled the fun.
I'd like to see him take about 2 steps, but I'm just 2 steps. I've been hit with the thorn.